folks, how you doing? Hey Lois, how you doing, man? Hopefully everything's coming through clearly. I've been playing the telly a bit lately. Can you hear me fine? Is that... I'll bring that microphone a little closer. Is that better? That's probably better there. There we go. I've been playing the telly a bit lately. I really dig. Don Willis, how are you, brother? Sounds fair. Oh, awesome. I've been playing this quite a bit lately, actually, and I'm really enjoying it. There's something about a telly. I find a telly. You're looking for Sam Kennett. I don't know who that is. Sorry, you come to the wrong place, maybe. There's just something about these simple design guitars. You know what I mean? It's not the easiest guitar to play by any stretch of the imagination. But the thing I like about a telly is, to me, it kind of feels like a rhythm guitar. When I play a telly, I kind of want to go. Do you know what I mean? Or the other thing I find with a telly kind of lends itself to is this sort of thing. A telly can do everything and everything. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. They're definitely one of the most versatile guitars ever. And I find with the telly, I end up using these controls a heap. Like I really do, because to me it's like the telly can be really bright. Like with that sound that I have there, if I go to the bridge pickup, it kind of gets thin on those higher notes, but it's good down low. But if I'm gonna play up in the higher register, I just grab my tone control and bring it down a little bit. Now this doesn't have any numbers or stuff on it, which is kind of a pain. But there is the little marker. I don't know if you can see that there. See, there's a little grub screw. I know when that's pointing that way, it's on full. So if I turn it down about a quarter, it's kind of facing that way. I did see Guthrie Govan had a control on his guitar that was the same as these, but it had numbers underneath. I'm like, I gotta get me some of those. You see, that's kind of bright, right? But turn the tone control down. And the interesting thing about that is the character doesn't change. It still sounds like a telly pickup. It just doesn't have that biting thing that sort of cuts your head off. But it's funny, when I play a telly, I want to play that pickup most of the time, right? Kind of just could live there. Even like, you know, typically like a rock rhythm guitar thing, I might go bridge pickup and go something like Eye of the Tiger, right? You know, I might do that sort of thing, but you can do that on the neck pickup too, and it still works. Lewis says he tried a Sir telly a while ago and it was insane. It cuts great. That Sir make really good guitars, don't they? I think they're pretty insane. Yeah, and Chileno? Did I say that correctly? Sorry if I didn't. I think you're right. He says Leo nailed it with that guitar. I agree. I think that he really did, didn't he? He got so many things right. There are some things I changed. Like you'll notice here, I've got a little bit of an arm carve here. And that just takes the hard edge off the inside of your arm. And after I did that, I actually liked it so much I put a little bit of one in there too, because I got a little bit of a bare belly. As happens when you're in your mid-40s, heading towards the wrong end of the 40s. But this kind of takes a little bit of the edge off. And that's my daughter's hand when she was 4. Drew a hand on there. Maybe one day I'll get something done with that. But I do find that a Tele kind of is hard on that edge, you know, it's very blocky. So just taking that off. And the reason I did that, I didn't do it to try and look cool because you don't even see it. It's like my arm covers it. But it had chipped there, which has happened to this guitar a bit. You can kind of see, maybe you can see that there. See, it started wearing on that thing. Like, once they chip in places, if you're wearing a shirt, which a lot of times I am, I have to wear like black shirts for gigs, like especially the orchestra stuff and things like that. If you go like that with your arm, it'll catch on the chip. It's a super pain in the butt. So I had to kind of take a little bit more off. And then one day I was picking this guitar up and I kind of scraped it along a chair along there and took a whole big thing out. It was just stupid, like a metal, one of those chairs that had a metal kind of edge to it. Kind of took it off. So then I was like, well, I'm going to have to smooth it over anyway. So I did. And then I was like, actually, I prefer the feel of it. So I just took it a little further. I probably took about, I don't know, a couple of millimeters off it from what it was already naturally doing. Because it had already worn there. Just these Highway 1 tellies, if you ever see one around, grab it. These were awesome. I don't know about the Stratocaster versions of the Highways. I haven't tried one. But the Highway 1 tellies are freaking awesome. Thinner finish, nitro, I think. I think it's poly on the neck, which is kind of, you know, going to make it, which is partly why this guitar the body looks really worn, but the neck looks kind of new. And I've played it a lot. It's got big frets, flatter radius, which I like. I don't like the vintage radius personally. It doesn't play that great. I'd like to get it set up one day and get it properly kind of really working well. Aaron says, I can send you some Hot Rod Flame pickguard to go with your pickup speed holes. I love the Aussie humour, mate. Yeah, totally. I've actually thought about changing the pickguard and doing something with it, you know, and what the hell, and kind of decorating it to make it look whatever. Maybe. And maybe Racing Stripes, he says, yeah. You know, I'm going to play this track. This is funk guitar backing track in C minor. This is from the Jammin' backing tracks, which, if you don't know that channel, there's some fantastic stuff on there. So hopefully the balance between guitar and track is good. Should be. I checked it before, but I never know what you guys are hearing. I'm assuming you're hearing similar, so here goes. Is that coming through? All right. There we go. So that was, like I said, funk guitar backing track in C minor from the Jammin' channel on YouTube. I usually just play this stuff off my iPad. My iPad's literally just here out of view, and I'm just running it into my mixer and stuff. Dawson Waters says, hello from Toronto. Greetings from Wellington, New Zealand. Enjoying some blues rock today. Nice. Thanks for being here. Never been to Canada or Toronto or that part of the world. You know, I'd love to get up there at some stage. Canada's kind of fascinating to me. I've been to the US a bunch. And the furthest north in the US I've been is probably San Francisco, actually. Although, you know, I've been through Seattle Airport and things like that, but never actually been out to any of those parts. But we did go to Alaska earlier in the year. Alaska was just stunning. Again, part of the US, but really kind of felt more like probably what I imagined it would be like to be in Canada. So yeah, I'd love to go to Canada one day. Thanks, Aaron. One thing too with this guitar, excuse me, this has what they called the grease bucket circuit in it, I believe. And so, you know, it's kind of got a treble bleed, but a very natural sounding one or something like that. I don't know, maybe. But I do notice when I turn it down, it does get a little darker. But on a tele, that's your advantage, right? You don't want to keep the treble. Because to me, it's like, a lot of times I'll kind of do that, right? And I saw a really interesting video, and it was, who was it? Can't remember now. Jeepers. I was going to credit him because it was a really good idea. And it's something that I've kind of done, but I never really thought about it. Where if you get a sound that you like, right? So this is the tone you're after. Turn your volume down, like, you know, from 10 to say 8. And you'll hear you lose some of the treble, right? So go to your amp and just turn the treble back up to match where it was on full. Now you can ride your volume without any kind of treble loss, as long as you're not on full, like full volume out, where it'll be too bright now. But you've got all that range of motion all the way through because you've balanced it to where it should be, right? And then if you do want to turn it up on full, just remember to touch your tone control a little bit. Great way to work it. I think I know who it was. Let me look it up because I want to give him credit because it was an awesome idea. I didn't realize I kind of have been doing that. If it is who I'm thinking it is. No, it wasn't. Yeah, no, it was Chance Hayden. There you go. Do you guys know him, Chance Hayden? Really good player. I think he's based in Portland or somewhere like that. Yeah. Jade says, I was working at a school that had a blonde ash 22 fret American Standard. That thing was a beast, man. I missed it. It had the flatter board. Yeah, it's totally a thing, isn't it? Like, the flatter board on a tele makes a difference. Because the thing is, especially if you get up here, this guitar chokes out a little bit. I actually have the board, not a lot of relief in the neck. In fact, no relief in the neck. On this guitar, I checked it the other day. The way you check is if you hold the 13th fret, you hold the first fret, you hold the 13th fret, and then you see how much, oh, there's a little bit, there's probably a millimeter in there. And you're just seeing how much travel there is between that. And I kind of know, for me, the Jazz 3s, you know, these ones, they're about 1.4 millimeters, 1.3, something like that. So I know that as a measurement, and that's kind of where I set my action, is about 1.5 mil at the 12th fret. Right, on both sides, because I know that's about what a pick is. I like lower action. I don't like it too high. I don't like it high either. I like it kind of medium to low, kind of somewhere in the middle there. But yeah, the relief is a thing, right? You know, and so that's probably why this chokes out a little bit. But if you had a rounder radius, it does feel really nice down here for playing chords. But when you start getting up the ultimate really is to have a compound radius, where it's more rounded here and then flatter up here, so that the strings kind of can drop off as they go and it doesn't choke out anywhere, which is what they do on the Schofield model, which is one of the reasons I love that guitar so much. Jade says, yeah, there are several sweet spots when you turn the amp up and guitar down a bit. I've used that a lot for jazz tone. Yeah, it does. It really, I think sometimes people think these controls just have to be up on full, but and maybe that, I think that's because when you turn it up on full, you get maximum brightness, right? But if you turn it down just a touch and then match the brightness, you get like all those other kind of things going on. And I find on a telly, because tellies are real bright anyway. This is the nature of the beast, right? They're bright, but they're punchy. They're not like a Strat, which is a Strat to me is like just bright, right? Whereas a telly is bright, but it has punch, especially the bridge pickup on a telly is way better. I mean, go to a clean tone. You just wouldn't get that on a Strat. I wouldn't. But then a Strat is awesome too. Like, I really like Strat neck pickup. And especially, my favorite setting actually on a Strat is probably bridge and middle, that position 2, I think you call it, where you go to the bridge pickup but go back 1. That's killer. The Mark Knopfler type thing. That to me, cheers everybody. It's coffee time. It is 12:20, so midday in Wellington. I'm going to play another tune. This is Funk Fusion Blues / Minor Blues guitar backing track in C minor. Same key, same different vibe though. Same channel. This is the Jam Tracks channel. I'm feeling the blues today, people. Oh, thanks, Aaron. Jeremy asks, are you playing a 2-5-1 phase to the 4 chord? Yes, I often play that. Old jazz trick that a lot of people do. So if you have C minor, to like your 4 bars of that, and then your next chord's F minor in that instance, I'll often play like 2-5-1 into the 4 chord, 2-5-1, or even just the 5 chord, right? If you go, right, just that much. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and then this 2, 3, 4. And whether the track has that or not doesn't matter, because all it is essentially just 5, 1, right? So I'm kind of implying a 5-to-1 resolution on the 4 chord. Now the 4 chord's not the 1 chord, but I'm treating it like it is. Right, with that, so I'll get. That sort of sound, right? But I'll also do the same thing with the 2 chord in front of it. This thing. Right, just the straight G arpeggio. And then C7 sharp 5 arpeggio. To F minor. Now, I'd never just play arpeggios because that's not music, right? I'm aiming to play music, but those are, I'd build something from those. That sort of thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I hope that helps. Yeah, definitely place 2-5-1s into the 4, and then some kind of turnaround at the end too, which wasn't actually in there, but I sometimes played this. Yeah. Aaron says, gee, you play like $1 million. Thanks, man. Best I can do is $100 and a $30 bar tab. Wow, man. If you're playing music and getting paid for it, it's all good. It's an interesting thing, the whole bar tab thing, right? It used to be a thing that gigs, there was always a bar tab. You never even had to say, right? It was just like, but now that drinks are so expensive now, I've noticed a lot of places aren't doing bar tab as part of the gig anymore. Which is dumb, because you wouldn't buy a drink if you weren't there working, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't have been there to buy the drink in the first place. But I guess it's their way of kind of clawing a little bit more money back. You know, if you've got a gig that pays bugger all money anyway, and then you go and spend $50 on beers, because beers in Wellington are really expensive. There's a gig I did the other night, I won't mention where, but it was $16.50 for a beer. $16.50. So, you know, I bought 3 beers, one for both of the drummers, and then one for me. There you go, you already know where it is. But it was the dude was like, oh, that's $49 or something, and I was like, what? Oh well. Doobie Les Paul asks, what kind of telly is that, mister? It's a Highway 1. This is a Highway 1 by Fender. I've had it for years. Made in USA. No, they weren't particularly anything flash. They were on the cheaper end of the Telecaster things. I've done a few things to it, like I mentioned, I mentioned earlier about why I kind of carved that off. I've changed the pickups. This is a Damasio Area T, and this one here is the stock Seymour Duncan that came in it. I actually, last night, was thinking maybe I should just do an upgrade in the pickups in this guitar. Get Glenn to make me some pickups, because that guy's a master. If you guys don't know Glenn Evans, Mr. Glenn Pickups, I can't recommend him enough. His stuff is incredible. Got them in that guitar over there. You can't really see it, but the Talman are both his pickups. My AZ guitar, the Ibanez, has both of his pickups. What else have I got? My AR520 and the neck pickup has one. My Porritt Smith with the 3 pickups. You've probably heard a lot of that guitar. That's got Mr. Glenn pickups, and they sound awesome. But these are, yeah, I only changed that one. Actually, I changed them both at different stages, but I've gone back to the Seymour that came in it. And I don't particularly like it. I find it too bright and a little brash. I'd like something that kind of was a bit more old school telly sounding in that position. And Glenn would be able to do it. So I should talk to him about it and get him to make me some. I want this guitar to be as vintagey as possible. And that one, I do appreciate having the noiseless, right? You can hear the hum. Doesn't mean it's completely noiseless, but, you know, it's way better than normal. And most of the time I'm on the neck pickup anyway on this guitar. At least 70% of the time, I'd say. So actually, yeah, I've been tempted to do that and just go back, get something more vintagey in it. As I do notice the neck pickup lacks a bit of top end. You know, you switch to the bridge pickup and it's like bitey, and then up here and there's none. And it's not the cover, it's just the noiseless pickups they tend to lack top end. Aaron says been wanting to check out the Kinman pickups. Yeah, I've heard good things about them. But again, they're a noiseless pickup, and I find noiseless pickups just the Damasio areas are the best I've ever heard, and they don't quite get there. They're never quite the same. All right, now sometimes it's a necessity, right? If you've got a gig that's noisy, like theatre shows, when I do the theatre show gigs, you have to have a quiet guitar. So this guitar with the noiseless in there would actually be ideal. Glenn doesn't make a noiseless pickup. He's more into the vintagey style, you know, real pickups instead of noise cancelling or any of that kind of carry on. Otherwise, I'd just get him to make me a noiseless one that sounds better with more top end. But on the theatre shows, you know, it's shocking how noisy it is in those theatres. You know, everything's just patched into wherever they can find a plug, and those theatres are old and rickety, and you know what I mean? And it's sort of one of those things. If you wanted to sound like this, on a theatre show, forget it. If you're playing single coils, it'll be like this. Now, you can ride your volume and kind of get around it, but it's sort of one of those things, you know. Yeah, it's really hard work, and you know, you probably hear more of it because you're on headphones or in-ear monitors or something, so you probably do hear more than what the audience hears of that noise, but still, it's really bugs the hell out of me when I'm doing those gigs. Yeah, so... yeah, noiseless, and I was doing a theatre show, I think it was Wicked or one of those shows, and one night we came in and it was the noise floor was so bad. Lucky I was playing a humbucker guitar mostly on it. I think I had my Porritt Smith maybe, or maybe the AZ or something like that, whatever I was playing. But the noise floor was so bad that in the break we stopped and we said to the conductor, look, it's killing us. Like I was having problems with humbuckers. The bass player was having problems because his single coil P-bass type pickups were just going, you know, and it was like, turns out someone out the back had a bright idea to turn the lights down on our music stands, right? Because apparently it was drawing too much attention to the band by having our lights on our music stand so we can see. I mean, come on. So then what happened was we were just getting a whole lot of buzzing because they'd turned a fader down, and all of a sudden that fader on the lights was introducing hum into the circuits and just killed it, right? So the sound guy went and put it back where it was, taped over it, and put a note there saying, you know, do not touch any of this. But it's funny, isn't it, how lighting people kind of look at that, and it's dumb anyway if you ask me. It's like, why have a band if you don't want them to be seen? You just have backing tracks if you want, and then your show will be done. Because it is. Like, there's a few shows around where they've tried to do it with backing tracks, and it doesn't work. It's like opera with backing tracks, right? It just doesn't work. You have to be able to move and ebb and flow with the pace of the actors and the singers, you know what I mean? You're like, maybe you'll play a chord slightly later one night because the singer's taking longer to get from one side of the stage to the other. As soon as you lock it down with backing tracks, it just sucks, right? Aaron asked, how does the conductor react to loud single coil hum noise floor? I don't know that they really notice it. They probably do, but they don't. I've never had a conductor talk about it, but then I just deal with it, you know. If it's getting too noisy, I'll just play a different guitar. And, you know, or I'll use a guitar that's got noiseless pickups or some way around it, do you know what I mean? I don't like using gates. Noise gates don't work. They kind of... I find if I play a chord like this, as it gets to that point there, you'll hear the gate kind of take some of your sustain off the end and stuff. It just, noise gates suck. Don't go there. The only time I've ever used a noise gate was from my mandolin, because it's got a single coil pickup in it that's really noisy. So I put a noise gate on because there was no other option. I have a TC Electronics something over there, Sentinel I think it's called, or something like that, that I just put on because it was either that or don't play mandolin, and I had to play mandolin. So any questions about playing? Aaron says he calls noise gates tone bouncers. I'd agree. You guys probably know this one. Comment if you get it. Does anyone know what that one's from? I'd be curious to see who spots that one. It's a good one. Okay, here's one more. This is Funk Fusion guitar backing track in C sharp minor, the jam and backing tracks, which I've played this one before.
Shop Farmers Toy Sale.
Oh, come on, adverts. I especially like that chord. The A flat and the G in there. It's a Tom Bukovac thing that he plays all the time. So if you've checked out his channel, I can't quite reach my iPad. If you've checked out his channel, you'll see him playing that one all the time. And same with this. She did a video on that, talking about Tom playing that one. I don't know this track, I don't think. But, see what happens. Yeah, it's a fun track. I didn't know that one. I hadn't played that one before, but kind of straight ahead. Dawson Walters says, "Do you have any Three Dog Night stories?" I don't know what that means. Isn't Three Dog Night a band? Denell says, kind of reminded me of Overkill by Men at Work. I don't know Overkill. I know Land of Down Under. Is that what it's called? I come from the land of Down Under. Australia's got something to be proud of last night too, was Alexander Volkanovski won the belt again. So if you're a UFC fan or not, Alex Volkanovski, also known as Volk, won the featherweight title for the second time. 36 years old. That guy's a beast. I don't really do much in terms of following sports these days, but I do follow boxing, I follow UFC. What else do I follow in terms of sports? Sometimes rugby, not so much. New Zealand's a real rugby obsessed country. Like, it's the national sport here. And so for that reason, it kind of makes me go, well, I'm not going to get crazy about rugby. I know a few of the All Blacks, and but yeah, those are the main ones I follow. And of course I love fishing. Anyone who knows me knows that. Lately I've been really into fly fishing, which I've done since I was a kid, but kind of lost favour with that for a little bit, but back into it again. It's nice, it just gets me outside doing something, and it's something physical. It's actually really hard work when you're walking up a river, and you've got water up to here and you're trying to walk against it. You find it's physically hard work, but it's awesome. You're in the middle, especially being in the middle of this river, and there's all this beautiful scenery around you, know people, and you're trying to find the fish, and yeah, it's really fun. Aaron says, did you know the chords to that backing track, or were you voice leading with your ear? I didn't know the track. I've never played that track before, but I was kind of using a combination of my ear and what I heard it doing, but also they're coming up on the screen on my iPad at times too. Although I tried not to look at that, sometimes I did, but I actually find it distracting, because if I see, like at the moment it says current, I've paused it, but it says current B, and then it says next A. I find if I see that, because I'm a very visual person when it comes to music, if I see B, I'm going to play B of some sort, right? And I don't like that way of playing. I much prefer to kind of trust my ear on things. So I was kind of using it at times to sort of figure things out, but then using my ear. It's pretty straightforward. Once you sort of figure out what the chord progression, that one was just like, and then it went A, B, back to C sharp minor, right? And the change was F sharp, G sharp, back to C sharp, right? It was just as simple as that. So C sharp, A, B, I'll play A, F sharp, G sharp, C sharp minor. So, what Aaron says, what outside notes playing were you doing there, or are they all pedal tones, chromatics, or certain target notes? Kind of a combination of both. A couple of times there on the F sharp minor, I started playing A major. Right, thinking that over, because that's kind of going to make you think differently about it. But also at times I was often just thinking C sharp minor, even though it was going F sharp minor, F sharp, G sharp, C sharp. I just played some. But there was some chromatic things in there. I mean, it's kind of a combination of things. I've kind of always looked at my playing as a combination of jazz and blues, funk music, kind of this blend of all that. But then I quite like a rockier guitar tone. You know. You know, kind of has got a bit of breakup in it. It's kind of more like akin to what you'd think of like in classic rock. So it's kind of this mashup of things is what I do, you know. And so, yeah, definitely targeting certain notes. I'm a big fan of hitting chord tones. So there I'm thinking C sharp minor 9. Aaron says, too good, man. Thank you. No problem, man. So I'm definitely trying to hit chord tones. And that's just kind of coming from the jazz thing. Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, my background is in jazz music. Even though I hate calling myself a jazz musician these days. I don't know. How do you all feel about it? Those of you who do play jazz, do you call yourself a jazz musician? I don't think the term jazz is relevant anymore. At least not to what I do. Now that's probably completely different with someone like Wynton Marsalis. Then you'd go, that guy is a jazz musician. To me, I kind of see what I do as being informed by jazz, but I don't really consider myself a jazz musician anymore. And what I mean by informed by jazz is I'm playing changes, I'm playing jazz vocabulary, I'm kind of building it off that, but to me it's more than that now. At least what I'm trying to do. It's like, it'd be like calling Robin Ford a jazz musician. It doesn't really sum up what he does it? It's the same as how I feel about how I play. You know, someone like Robin, it's like you can't deny the blues in what he does. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's, you know, he's pretty schooled up in the jazz thing too, and you can hear it in his playing, his phrasing and stuff like that, the tone, but it's clearly a blues thing as well. I think in my playing I have more funk than that. That's kind of something that I'm definitely into. I love playing funk music and groove music and stuff like that, and it's a big part of what I do. The rock stuff too, like I mentioned, I really like the rock kind of tones, things like this. That's a Friedman model in the FM3, and it's got which is the Aurora delays. I think it's based off the Halo Andy Timmons type thing. You know, so I'm really into that as well. Because why not? You know what I mean? Any questions? I'm going to finish up soon, people. I'm going to definitely keep it under an hour today. It's what I usually try to do, but kind of lost track of things lately. It's school holidays today, so I'm going to try and spend some time with the kiddo. Maybe take her out to go and do some shopping or something. Maybe I'll play a jazz tune, just for a bit of contrast. Why don't I do that? Any particular jazz tunes you guys want to hear? I wish it had a little more volume. Look how I do that without screwing things up. There we go. I haven't plugged my Fractal in to the system. Otherwise I'll just use the software to turn it up. Any particular jazz tunes, or should I just choose one? Let's see if I can find one. Let's do, what's that tune called? It's Isotope. Yeah, let's do that. Seeing as I'm on the blues, I felt like playing blues tracks today. I don't know why. Maybe because it's a Monday morning here at 12:48. Someone says Jacko. I would do just some Jacko stuff, but I'm thinking more straight ahead jazz. like less fusiony, because I've just done a whole lot of fusiony type stuff. So this is Isotope. This is a Joe Henderson tune.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
George Benson. So that was Isotope, the Joe Henderson tune. I've always liked playing that song. It's kind of struggling to get the sound just right. I found with the setup, what I typically do is I have like a clean lead tone, crunch, all those sort of things. That if I play the overdrive channels on the Fractal, the overdrive tends to overdrive about where it does, whether I use single coils or humbuckers. Humbuckers will drive more, but the volume doesn't really change. But where it changes is the clean tone, right? Because single coil pickup doesn't have as much output. So now your clean tones are mismatched to the overdrive channel. Then you go back to a humbucker and they're kind of right. So it's almost like what I should do is set up two exact profiles, exactly the same page as, presets. And just have one for single coils and one for humbuckers of the same thing. That'd be super handy. This is a really good jazz sound. If I turn my mic off so you're not hearing the mic. I'd be happy using that on a jazz gig. You know what I mean? I could get through it. Fine. It's not going to sound like an arch top. It's not meant to. It's just another thing. So, any quick questions before I go, folks? Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do, because all that stuff helps. But then there's something cool too about just letting a tally be a tally, right? The liking thing, I never really understood how the like thing works. I guess it tells YouTube's algorithm that this is something that should push out to more people if you hit the like button. I never really got that. And someone was saying the other day too, if you hit the dislike button, it kind of does the same thing, because it just tells YouTube, that people are engaging with stuff. And that makes sense, right? Because people, if people give something a thumbs down, YouTube kind of likes pushing stuff like YouTube likes controversy, doesn't it? They don't care as long as you're watching, I guess. Which is why rage baiting is a thing, right? It's the dumbest shit ever. You're like deliberately trying to provoke people to get them to watch. It doesn't make any sense to me. What I wonder with these rage baiters too, these people that are doing this stuff, is like, what's going to happen when the point comes that you want to put forward your playing, right? You just might start recording all this guitar things that you're doing, or piano, or whatever instrument you play. And all of a sudden, nobody's really paying attention, right? Because they're only there to see you get kind of worked up about something, or talk shit about someone, or kind of attach your name to a legend to try and get views, right? And you're just trying to rack people up to get a reaction out of them, right? And then it comes time to play, and they're like, nobody's interested. That's got to be like it's got to hurt, right? You're like, man, but I actually play too. I'm not just someone who... No, nobody cares. I was kind of taught that early on in my playing. Someone said to me once, be careful what you get famous for. And that's kind of always stuck with me. It's a really great saxophone player in New Zealand, a guy called Brian Smith. Fantastic player. Amazing saxophone player. He used to play in Nucleus and Maynard Ferguson's big band in London and UK. Just played with everybody, right? He was a legend. Still is. Still around. We played a couple times, and he can really play. But he put out this album, Moonlight Sax, it was called. And it was one of those easy listening albums that kind of happened in the 2000s, I think. And it blew up. Like, he sold heaps of copies, maybe over 1 million albums or something. And I heard a story that he turned up to a gig to go and play, and he wanted to do what he always does, which is kind of fusion, funk, bebop, things like this, you know what I mean? Swing. But everyone really came to hear the Moonlight Sax. That's what they wanted to hear, was that easy listening, playing pop songs, with a light bossa nova beat underneath them, and that's what they wanted. So he kind of that's what he had to do, right? And he kind of at the time was like, well, I managed to buy a nice big house by doing it. I assume he did. I know someone else who did the similar sort of thing. Those easy listening albums can sell really well. People like that stuff, But then you've got to go, well, there comes a point where that's the only music I'm going to be able to play. The smart person of that was John Mayer. Do we have any John Mayer fans here? That guy kind of figured it out, right? He really figured it out. He was like, I'm going to do pop songs right from the beginning, right? That's what he did, right? It's really good. And then 4-chord minor in a pop song, and then the bridge, a Lydian sound, It was pop music, but it was really good pop music, and he kind of nailed that, right? Your Body is a Wonderland, all those songs that were big hits for him. So he played this pop music stuff that didn't kind of force him into a genre, right? Because he was very able to kind of introduce himself to the world as a blues artist after that. And he did that blues trio with Steve Jordan and Pino Palladino, and his audience went with him. It's not like all of a sudden they went, oh, well, you're not doing that thing that we liked, so we're going to switch off. They followed it through. So he, pretty amazing. you know, he kind of nailed it. And then now he plays with the Grateful Dead or Dead and Company or one of those sort of bands, you know, and freaking awesome. You know, he's kind of nailed it. Got the money and then doing his own thing. Dawson asked, do you have tinnitus ringing in your ears? If so, how do you manage it? I don't typically, but sometimes I do. The gig, after Friday night's gig, I definitely did. I got home and I jumped into bed and all I could hear was like, because it was loud. Two drummers and they're both... The thing with when you have two drummers is that it becomes this thing. It's like we're trying to up each other, right? And so someone will play something really fast and loud and the next person plays something really fast and loud, and then it escalates that this happens, right? And it just keeps going up and up and up. And so I found by the time I got home, my ears were ringing like mad. But that doesn't typically happen. And usually I put earplugs in. I don't know why I didn't on that gig. Maybe I didn't have them. Maybe I didn't think about it. I don't know. So typically I don't, it's not something I really deal with. I don't do that many gigs that get that loud like that often. And if I do, I sort of make sure I'm just not really near anything too loud. Like, you know, if the drums are getting a bit loud, I just sort of move over a little bit and sort of, you know, if I can, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's not generally a problem for me, but if I do, one of the best things is I just put my headphones in when I'm trying to sleep. I have noise cancelling earbuds, you know, the little, they're Technics. I wouldn't recommend that brand. They haven't been particularly great, but I've had Jabras before. I wouldn't recommend them either. They died a bunch of times. They both sound decent. They sound pretty good, actually. But that can help, you know, just to have a little bit of sound happening. Because my house is really quiet. We live up on the top of a hill. We're away from really any kind of town. Where the city itself is about 10 minutes from my house. It's just down the road. And Newtown is even closer, about 5 minutes. And those are busy places, but we're far enough away to not have to deal with that. So it gets pretty quiet here at night, which is, I really appreciate. You know, when I come home, I just want to have, I don't want to be dealing with noise. So at our house here, and of course it's fully insulated and double glazed and all that stuff, and you do find that it's like really quiet in here, as you can probably hear right now. Can't really hear anything, and it's the middle of the day, 12 o'clock. Because there's no reason for people to come here. They're only going to come up my street if they live here. There's no thoroughfare. So it's sort of one of those things that, yeah, I do find at night, if I do have ringing in my ears, it's even more noticeable because of how quiet it is. So I just put my earbuds in, and the other thing too is not to focus on it, because you know once you can hear ringing in your ears, and then you sort of draw your attention to that, when you could be drawing your attention to all kinds of other things. You know, maybe the sounds going on in the house, or sounds of birds out if it's morning, depending on what time it is, all that kind of stuff, or the sounds of, you know, maybe the cat outside, or whatever sound you can hear out there. Focus on that rather than the sound ringing in your ears. But if you're getting regular tinnitus, you need to do something about that. Invest in some good earplugs. Because, you know, you're hearing, if you're doing that kind of regularly, and that's when you're looking at proper ear damage, and bugger that. Favorite sounds in the Telecaster is that 2 pickup thing. You don't get that in the Strat because there's distance between the pickups, and also with that pickup having the cover on it, makes it slightly darker, and then that one's brighter, so you get a different kind of blend. You can really hear it if I go. Yeah. Anyway, folks, I'm going to have to go. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. All that stuff helps. I post twice a week here, usually a midweek video, Thursday New Zealand time, which is about Wednesday everywhere else. And I have been posting on Saturday, but I'm thinking maybe Sunday might be better to put some distance between the videos. And also Sunday means it's Saturday in the US and places like that. I don't know. But usually one in the weekend and one during the week. That's about what I can usually cope with. And then some shorts in between, because I enjoy the shorts, you know. And it's funny, when you put out shorts, people watch more shorts than you definitely get more views on the shorts. I think people are into short form content, so hey, who am I to tell them they're wrong? there's stuff I can help with that. I'm happy to. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me. I will catch you all soon. Cheers, team.